Hey guys, today we have a super important video that we're going to be sharing with you, so you want to stay tuned through to the end. We're going to be talking about all of the different signs that we are seeing that is predicating a major downturn in the Central Florida real estate market. And we're also at the end going to share 6 tips that you can do today to help prepare for the worst case scenario. Hi guys, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Brandie with the Mathison-Klein group at Keller Williams Realty. I'm a local realtor here in Central Florida, and I wanted to just take a little bit of time to talk to you guys about something that's super important, and that is where the market is going and some tips that you guys can take right now to prepare for the worst case scenario. Before we do that though, I want to just say, you know, right now, all the time I'm getting asked, how's the market right now? And right now, the market is absolutely fantastically hot. And so I want to explain a little bit about why it's really hot. Then we'll jump into why I feel that, you know, what are the factors that we're looking at that are predicating a major downturn in the market. And I just feel like it's an ethical duty and obligation to share this information with you so that you can be best prepared and be knowledgeable about what's going on and what's taking place so that you can make the best decisions. So at the time of this recording, we're in the second week of September 2020, and the market, like I said, is super hot right now. So what determines a hot market? Well, there's really 2 main factors. It's all based off of supply and demand. And really what we're looking at is we have a lot of buyers that are out there that are looking to purchase homes in the market right now because interest rates are at historical lows right now. We're seeing interest rates in the 2 and 3% range, and it basically is like free money. So we have a lot of buyers that are interested in taking advantage of those low interest rates right now. And on the same token, we have a very low amount of inventory. So what's causing the low inventory? Well, there's a few different factors that are causing the low inventory right now. Once again, because interest rates are so low, there's been a lot of people that have decided to take advantage of that, and they've refinanced their home. So they've just refinanced into a low interest rate. They realize, you know what, we're going to stay here for quite a while and we're going to hunker down. So there's no need for them to be selling their home anytime soon. The second factor is that there's a lot of people that have an unstable income. And so when you have an unstable income, there's a lot of people that have filed for mortgage forbearance. They have not been making their mortgage payments. And they're also in a secure setting and situation because there's a foreclosure moratorium. So if they're not making their payments, they know that the mortgage company can't foreclose on their property. So right now they're in a safe, protected environment that allows them to stay put in their home for the time being. A lot of people have been able to get, you know, government aid through the unemployment, the stimulus checks, through PPP programs, and all of those things. So it has helped out a little bit. However, we do see that those are going to be some effects down the road. The other factor is that we are in an election year. And if you haven't noticed lately, there's a lot of unrest and uneasiness with the political climate and the social climate that's going on right now. And so fear is a really big factor in a lot of these different scenarios that is creating people to just stay put. A lot of people just want to see, well, let's see what happens after the COVID hits. Let's see what happens after the election, you know. So these are all different contributing things that are causing people to just really stay put, which is creating a low amount of inventory. In fact, if you look at the MLS statistics, the listing inventory is down over 33% from this time last year, to give you any kind of an indication of just how low our inventory is right now. So when you have low inventory and you have a high buyer demand, what that does is it creates a really strong seller's market. So to give you guys an idea, we have about a 2-month supply of inventory right now, which means that if no more homes came on the market, we would be completely out of homes available to sell in 2 months or less in several Central Florida neighborhoods here in the area. That is unbelievable, and it's been like this. It's been kind of accumulating month after month after month for the last few years. We've been in a really, really strong market. So that's been great in some ways. It's definitely helped with the home values as well, because home values have definitely creeped up significantly over the last year as well. So that's where the market is at today. Now we're going to kind of jump into what do we see happening in the future, and why do we see these signs that are all leading up to a major downturn in the market? Right now we have a lot of demand and we have very little supply. So when the market shifts over into a buyer's market, then what happens is there's that little teeny tiny window. And a lot of times that happens so quickly. It can happen in a matter of a couple of weeks, and it feels like it's overnight before we even realize it. And really for you guys in the public, you guys really don't know about it until a month or two after it's actually already happened. We, the agents, start to notice it almost immediately because we start seeing a change and a flex in what's taking place in the market. So when that market shifts over into a buyer's market, then we have a lot more homes that are available on the market for inventory, and we have less buyers that are out there looking. And so what that does is it creates more supply and less demand, and that then makes it a buyer's market because home values will continue to then decrease, making it a better bargain for the buyers that are purchasing at that time. Plus they have a plethora of homes to choose from, and so that's what creates the buyer's market. So there's 3 major factors that are going to be contributing and are currently contributing to what we are going to see as a major downturn in the market. So the first one that we want to talk about is income instability. And that's extremely evident from the pandemic because, you know, when we take a look at the unemployment rate, currently in Central Florida, the unemployment rate is at 17.3% compared to 3% last year. So basically, and the other factor is that the hospitality and leisure industry is really, really high in Florida. So if you really look at it, about 1 in 4 employees are currently laid off right now, which means that once government assistance is no longer in place and mortgage forbearances are no longer an option, there are a lot of people that are out there that are going to be struggling and currently are struggling financially. According to statistics, there's over 9% of people that are currently in mortgage forbearance and not paying their mortgage. So to give you a frame of reference, in the last market crash, 12% of homes were in foreclosure, and those people were not paying their mortgage. So it really only is just a Band-Aid over a huge geyser that is taking place right now. Now currently, Florida has a mortgage foreclosure moratorium, which means that the mortgage companies cannot file for foreclosure on properties currently right now. And I believe for the state of Florida, that's going through till October. They may be extending that. We just don't know. However, we know that once that moratorium is lifted, those mortgage companies are going to be filing for foreclosure if the homeowner has not paid up to date and made all of those back payments up, or made some other kind of agreement and arrangement with the lender to ensure that they've got some kind of payment arrangement put into place. The second factor is an increase in inventory. So when we see an increase in inventory, that, you know, is definitely something that is moving that pendulum shift over. And what's going to create a much higher inventory of homes coming on the market is really, you know, catapulted to what I was just saying with the first factor. So there's a ton of people that are not currently making their mortgage payments right now. And what they're going to do is when that time comes that they either need to make their payments, they are going to realize, hey, I'm going to go ahead and cash out my equity now before the bank forecloses on the property. They're going to stick their head in the sand and wait for the mortgage company to foreclose on their property. And then there's a whole another tier of people that are just sitting and waiting and seeing what is going to take place. Maybe they're waiting until after the election to see who is going to be in office, and they're just afraid. They want to wait until the pandemic is over, until they feel safe and secure with their particular circumstances and situation. So there's a lot of built up demand and pent up demand that's going to be taking place in conjunction with foreclosures that are going to be coming on the market, which are then going to be distressed sales. And then there's going to be the people that absolutely have to sell their home and are looking to cash out before the bank forecloses on them. The third factor that is going to affect the market is interest rates. So as you know, interest rates have been at a historical low for this whole year, and praise God for it, because it's been fantastic how low interest rates have been. And I can pretty much guarantee you that we probably won't see interest rates this low ever again. I'm not even sure if your kids or your grandkids will see interest rates this low. So we do know the Feds just announced that they have no plans on raising the rates through till 2024, which is a great thing. However, there's a little misnomer because a lot of people think that mortgage interest rates are directly related to the federal funding rate, and that's really not quite the case. Fixed rates are actually tied to a 10-year treasury rate. So just because the Feds have a really, really low rate, or if they say, hey, we're dropping it down to zero, does not mean that interest rates on your mortgage are going to be zero. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands that. So if interest rates and what predicates whether interest rates are going up and down is also based off of supply and demand. So if the mortgage industry is like really slammed, they're doing a ton of mortgages, the likelihood of them feeling like they can go ahead and push up the envelope a little bit with the interest rates is very likely. The other thing is it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when the interest rates do go up. Now, my hope is that they will continue to stay very, very low for a long time, because I do definitely think that that's going to help our industry and also protect, some kind of a balance to the market. Because anytime there is a change, even if it's just a slight little change in interest rates, what ends up happening is buyers will typically pause. So they will stop. And even though those rates might still be historical lows, it still creates uneasiness for them. They decide, let's just hold out and see if they continue, if they drop back down. And so that absolutely can and will affect the market as well. So just to recap on those three main factors, we have the instability of income, we have an increase in inventory, and then we also have an increase in mortgage interest rates. So those are all the three main contributing factors that we're looking at. So if all three of those factors come into play, or even two of them really, but if three of them come into play where we have a lot more inventory and there's not as many buyers that are out there, then what's going to happen is it's going to shift over to that buyer's market that we were talking about. Now, when a buyer's market comes, then really what ends up happening is all these homes are on the market, they start staying on the market longer, and the prices start to continually decline, which means that even if you aren't selling, the equity and the value of your home is going to start dropping, which is why it's really important for you to sit and determine, okay, we need to go ahead and figure out a plan right now. You need to sit down and you need to determine, okay, if worst case scenario, the market does start to tank, it does start to shift in a downward position, what are your plans and how can you adjust to that? So I want to go over 6 tips that you can do right now to help prepare for the worst case scenario. And the good news is, guys, is that if I'm wrong, if the market continues to stay really strong, which I really hope that it does, then you are not going to be any worse off than you were today. You will just be in a better position, right? So my first recommendation is to absolutely assess your financial situation. So whenever you're assessing your financial situation, you want to be able to forecast forward. Have you been planning a move in the next 12 months, 2 years, whatever that looks like? And if so, what would that look like? Are you going to need to upsize? Are you going to need to downsize? Is your income stable right now, or is it not? Is it unstable? So really being able to look at that and be able to determine, over the long haul, am I going to be able to continue to make these payments and stay in this home, or are there circumstances that would predicate the need for us or the desire for us to be able to move into a different home or into a different area and location? The second tip is really honestly consider refinancing. If you know that you are planning on staying put for quite some time, if you have not already refinanced, you absolutely need to consider refinancing. And we've got some really excellent lenders that can help you with that. And it can save you thousands of dollars in the long run if you are planning on staying put for the next 4 to 5 years. Number 3, if you are at all considering buying, I would absolutely recommend that you go ahead and do it now. And you might be thinking, well, that's kind of crazy. Why would you recommend that I buy now in such a hot market? Well, it's pretty simple. With interest rates being so low, you actually will have a little bit more buying power than you would if interest rates were to go up. So let me show you a real world example of that. So if you buy a home today at $325,000, and let's say you put 20% down and you're getting a 3% interest rate, your monthly payment on that home, not including any of your escrows or taxes or anything like that, is going to be around $1,096 a month. So let's say, for example, that the value of homes, the market value dropped 10%, and interest rates went up to 4.5%, which is very plausible and very likely. But those are still historically low rates. Now, that same home that was $325 just dropped down in value down to $292,500. And again, let's say you put 20% down, and now your interest rate is at the 4.5%. So your monthly mortgage payment would now be $1,185 a month. That's $90 more a month than the home that you bought at that you would have bought at $325,000. So you actually would be paying about $32,000 more in interest over the life of the loan if you waited for the property values to drop 10% if you were paying a higher interest rate. So you can see why it would be beneficial for you to go ahead and take advantage of the market now when you know what the interest rates are. You know that they're at a very low rate right now. So if you're considering buying, don't be sitting on the fence waiting for it to happen. The other thing is, if you're looking to, if you're debating between buying or continuing to rent, is rent is very likely to continue to go up because there is still a housing shortage. Whereas if you get into a house with a fixed mortgage rate, then you know what your payment is going to be every single month. Number 4, if you have filed for mortgage forbearance, I'm strongly going to recommend that you contact your lender and find out what your options are. So likely, if you haven't been able to make your payments because you filed for mortgage forbearance, the likelihood of you being able to make 3 or 6 months worth of payments all at once is going to be very, very slim. So you want to talk to them and ask them what your options are. See if you can be able to push that lump sum of payments that are past due and put it onto the back of the loan, so that when it does come time for you to sell the home, that hopefully there's enough equity in there that would also then cover those missed payments. So that would be an option that I would suggest that you do. Every lender is going to be different, but I would absolutely stay on top of that and find out what your options are. Number 5, if you are considering selling, if you've thought about selling, if you think that in the next year or two that it would be in your best interest for you to be selling your home, I am absolutely going to say do not wait, because there's so many other people out there that are waiting and seeing. They're gonna wait and see what happens with the election. They're gonna wait and see what happens with the government assistance, with COVID, with all of these things. And then come the second quarter of 2021, we are going to see an avalanche of people putting their home on the market. And you don't want to be on the market when everybody else is on the market. So get ahead of the game, be on top of it, and go ahead and sell when you know that the market is really hot, you know the demand is high, and you know that the market values are good, and you know that interest rates are low. And lastly, I'm just going to recommend that you save up as much money as possible. Save up for your emergency fund. Anytime we are facing a recession or a depression, then you've got to be able to save up for that rainy day. So put as much money aside as you can. If you have equity in your home and you're looking at selling, make sure that you are, purchasing another home that you know is going to be very affordable for you, that you're not going to be, house poor, I guess you could say. So just be smart and don't be afraid to dive in and look at what your options are. I feel that it's important to educate you and to inform you of, what's taking place in the market now and all of the signs that we're seeing of what is going to be happening in the next few months and next year. So I want you to be amply prepared. I want you to also know that we are available to sit down and have a confidential, consultation and look at things from a 30,000 foot perspective and really be able to give you guys some sound guidance. Now, I absolutely don't want you thinking that if you contact us that we're going to come in with the expectation of just listing your house, because that is absolutely not what we are about. We are actually really about coming in from a servant's heart and really being able to help guide you through the process. Just a couple weeks ago, I met with a client and we were going through their whole situation and circumstances and really kind of outlining, everything that they were looking at. And even though it made sense for them financially to sell their home, there were some other circumstances that were taking place on the personal side of things that really did not fit within the whole picture. It didn't make sense for them to sell right now. And I told them that. I said, listen, I know that financially it makes sense, but there's these other circumstances that really, honestly, if I were in your position, I would probably hold off until these things are resolved and that you're at peace about this. And we really just want you to know that we're here to help you and give you, some different options, guide you through that process, and just be here to be able to help guide you through that. It does not cost you anything, and we truly are here to help. So reach out to us today. You can give us a call. You can reach out to our website. But just know that you've got some guidance. You've got people that care, and we would love to be able to help you through that. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out. So thank you so much for your time. You guys, God bless. Take care.